Total diet replacements differ from conventional diets because they result in a greater deficit between the amount of energy needed by the body and the amount you deliver in the diet. The conventional approach in dietetic practice is to advise a diet which gives a 600 calorie per day deficit. Typical weight losses on a total diet replacement are in the range 1 to 2 kilograms per week. For men, we know that from the clinical trials published, the average weight loss is around about 1.5 kilograms per week, and for women, the average weight loss is around 1.3 kilograms per week. TDRs and MRPs are safe. In all of the clinical trials, the evidence relating to the adverse events is fully published, so we have a complete safety profile. And now healthcare practitioners and others have no anxieties about the use of this type of approach.
DIRECT stands for Diabetes Remission Clinical Trial, and this was the first ever research study, which took people with type 2 diabetes who are overweight and set a remission of diabetes as its goal, as its target. We aim to get people with diabetes to get rid of the disease. In other words, to be non-diabetic after 1 year, after 2 years, and hopefully for longer. At the beginning, to see whether we could get 1 in 5 of our patients to be non-diabetic at 12 months, at 1 year. And that was done through weight loss. And we have plenty of reasons to believe that weight loss probably would achieve this, provided you can maintain the weight loss in the long term. And what we've discovered was that these are perfectly ordinary people with type 2 diabetes, attending their own GP surgery, seeing their own nurse or dietitian if there is one. By giving them a very well designed program, it's called Counterweight Plus, which we developed over almost 20 years in Scotland, that program got almost half of these patients to be non-diabetic after 12 months, and over a third of them remaining non-diabetic at 2 years.
We estimated that it was cost effective under our assumptions. We found that every additional year of life in full health that was generated would cost about £13,000 in the UK, and this is less than the standard threshold for cost effectiveness of about £20,000 for a similar health benefit.
We have done a very detailed cost analysis of the direct trial intervention, the Counterweight Plus intervention during the trial. So that's the cost of delivering it in a clinical trial setting. So there are a few extra costs, and even with those extra costs, the cost per patient who entered the study was just over £1,000. It was £1,067, and that's for complete management for 12 months. And that corresponds with the average cost of somebody with type 2 diabetes attending their doctors at the average over their disease lifetime of £2,800. So it's actually cheaper than keeping patients in the disease process as an average annual cost reduced. And we can say that within the 12-month period, that just the cost of this program was less than the average cost of being diabetic and attending your own doctor in the usual way. We're now looking at the projections as to what we expect to happen over the lifetime of that patient. With the reduced drug costs, they had less attendance at GP surgeries, less hospital referrals, and they've got less disease at the end of it. There is a strong possibility that it will actually work out cheaper to do this intervention than to do nothing.
We can see that a weight loss about 10% will give you 30% better life, more or less, in total. It's a very good investment.
The reason why people are not at the present time using total diet replacements is that until very recently the evidence base has not been strong enough, but it is now strong in relation to diabetes remission, in relation to obstructive sleep apnea, in relation to osteoarthritis, and as a consequence the evidence now is such that people can begin to consider to use total diet replacement.
Because we previously knew that these kind of programs were effective, but that's when they're conducted in intense research settings or specialist obesity clinics. And what we were really interested in finding in the droplet study is whether this would be an acceptable treatment delivered in routine care. And I think the results of the droplet study speak for themselves and show that the patients did find it a completely acceptable treatment, and we went on to show that it was very clinically effective at weight loss at 1 year later.
What we are learning about obesity is that it's not only one disease, that it's a multitude of different diseases. And therefore we see that diet approaches are incredibly helpful for a subset of these obesity diseases.
The results of the droplet study and also the direct study from Glasgow and Newcastle universities, we know that TDR can be a clinically effective treatment for obesity and other conditions such as type 2 diabetes. And the NHS have committed to piloting a scheme of 5,000 people.
Well, I think that people have, to a large extent, given up because they have no programs that are effective enough. And everybody seems to know that you can lose weight. The difficult thing is what's after that. You should deal with the aftermath after the weight loss, and we have found out how to do it, I believe. In our place, we are forming groups led by a dietitian that meets every 3 weeks, something like this, and we can maintain the weight loss for almost ever, it seems, as long as people feel that they belong to this group, they kind of accept the situation, and they don't gain weight again.
TDMR Europe organised the seminar in Dublin because we're very clear that there is a need to educate individuals about the potential use of TDMR to resolve the problem of obesity and obesity-related comorbidities across Europe. Everybody knows that the healthcare costs and other related costs consequent to the fact that people are becoming heavier are rising dramatically. No healthcare provider throughout Europe is going to be able to cope with the increased costs related to, for example, the rising prevalence of diabetes or the rising prevalence of osteoarthritis. Something has to be done about that, and one of the ways in which we could help would be to have effective weight loss with total diet replacement. Healthcare professionals should now consider using total diet replacement as one of the options to be considered for their patients because it is safe, it is effective, it delivers good healthcare benefits in terms of, for example, reduction of blood pressure, improvement in diabetes, improvement in obstructive sleep apnea, reduction of pain in osteoarthritis. The evidence is very clear. This is a very effective intervention. It is safe. It is cost effective. There's published evidence for that. Therefore, healthcare practitioners should be considering using total diet replacement.